You know, sometimes I just sit here in my quiet little apartment in the US, a world away from where all this went down, and I still can't quite believe it happened. Like, was that really my life? It feels like a movie, honestly. But it was real. Every single gut-wrenching, soul-crushing moment of it. And it changed everything. I'm telling you this now because maybe, just maybe, someone out there needs to hear it. Someone needs to know they're not alone, that they can get out. The call that changed everything. The hospital lights were blinding, a stark contrast to the darkness that had swallowed my life. The frantic voices of the doctors blurred around me, shouting about an emergency surgery, about immediate payment. My husband, Zhao Zhongwei, was on a gurney, a bloody mess after a car crash. He was on his way to meet his mistress, by the way. Just for context. My stomach clenched just thinking about it. My first thought programmed into me after 3 years of living under a microscope was to call his mom, my mother-in-law. I begged her, pleaded for the money, just to save her son. Her response? A familiar explosion of insults. "You spendthrift, you barren woman, you're useless." Then a click. She hung up and blocked my number. My father-in-law didn't even pick up. Classic. And that's when it hit me. Like a lightning bolt. A strange, almost eerie calm washed over me. I felt a weird lightness, like a huge weight had just lifted. I turned to the doctors, my voice steady, no tremor. No tears. "I don't have the money. He's not going to be treated." A kind nurse, bless her heart, offered to pay up front. I just shook my head. "No, thank you. I can't trouble the hospital further." Yeah, that's what I said, because in that exact moment I knew. This was it. This was the day I had waited for. The day my silent suffering would finally pay off. 3 years of hell. For 3 years, I was a ghost in my own home, a prisoner tethered by invisible chains. My husband Zhao Zhongwei handed his entire paycheck to his parents the moment he got it. Can you even imagine? Here in the US, we value financial independence, especially for women. The thought of a grown married woman not being able to touch her own husband's money is insane. But for me in China, it was my reality. Every single dime for groceries, for my personal hygiene, even for a piece of fruit, had to be a written request to him. Then he approved it, and then his mom, the grand matriarch, had to sign off before any money was begrudgingly transferred. It was humiliating, truly. In some cultures, especially in Asia, the idea of multi-generational living and the role of elders, particularly a mother-in-law, is deeply revered. It's quite different from what we often see here, where children typically seek their own independence after marriage. For me, it wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a profound cultural burden. The pressure was immense. I tried talking to Zhongwei so many times. I begged him to let me hold some money, to have some dignity. He'd just brush me off with that sickly, sweet lie. "Mom just wants what's best for our little family. You don't work, so I take care of everything. She wants us to save up for a bigger house, even bring your parents to live with us." I was so naive, so stupidly, blindly in love. He was my first boyfriend, my first everything. I'd never seen the dark side of people before, so I believed him, hook, line, and sinker. The first year wasn't too bad. My mother-in-law kept up appearances. But then the second year rolled around and my womb stayed stubbornly empty. That's when her true colors started to bleed through, raw and ugly. She forced me to drink these vile, murky concoctions, folk remedies she called them, and subjected me to all sorts of superstitious nonsense. Got the pressure to have a son to continue the family name? It's a whole different level over there. It's crushing. When I dared to refuse, she'd unleash hell. "You unfilial barren woman, if my son wasn't so kind, you'd have been kicked out long ago. Do you want the Zhao family line to die out?" I'd cry to Zhongwei, hoping he'd defend me, but his patience was long gone. "Mom's right. Why can't you have a child? Everyone my age has kids." Every dismissive word, every shrug from him chipped away at my heart. It just got colder, harder bit by bit. But then he'd turn on the charm, apologize, sweet-talk me into drinking those awful things again. He was a master manipulator. My throat tightens, just remembering the smell of those concoctions. And now, here I was. The nurse's urgent voice, a frantic plea for next of kin, cut through the heavy quiet of the hospital hallway. I straightened my clothes, took a deep breath, and walked towards those operating room doors. It was time. The last goodbye. Zhao Zhongwei was lying there, a bloody mess on the operating table. He struggled to move his fingers, his eyes wide, with a desperate primal fear. "Wife, save me." Looking at him gasping for air, honestly, I just felt light. Free. I leaned in, slid the wedding ring off his finger, and slowly, deliberately turned it. My voice was flat, devoid of emotion, almost casual. Zhao Zongwei, it's not that I don't want to save you. Everyone heard, didn't they? I don't have the money for your hospital bills. He was fading every word a struggle. Call my mother. His face contorted in agony, cold sweat on his forehead. I covered my face with my hand, mimicking a sob. I called. Mom said she doesn't have a penny. She even blocked my number. Use my phone, he rasped. I lowered my hand. My eyes were dry, but my lips curved into a chilling, triumphant smile. I leaned down and pressed hard on his wound. He screamed, a raw, animalistic sound. I released him, wiping the blood from my hand on his gown. Zhao Zongwei, I've known for a long time. You're having an affair. I even know where her house is. His eyes snapped open wide with horror. I scoffed. Maybe at him, maybe at myself. Oh, and I also know you secretly bought a huge insurance policy on me, just waiting for me to have an accident so you could collect the payout and marry someone new, right? He just stared, then suddenly, violently coughed up a mouthful of fresh blood. I found out about his cheating on our second wedding anniversary. He promised a fancy dinner, a movie, all that jazz. But then last minute, he called with some lame excuse about an urgent work call. Wife, I'm so sorry, company emergency. He had no idea. The day before, I got an anonymous text. Believe it, your husband will be with me on your anniversary. I thought it was spam, honestly. But then he canceled and something clicked. I followed his car, not to his office, but to a fancy hotel. I walked in my marriage certificate clutched in my hand and asked the receptionist. She told me he was a regular. My world just shattered. I stood there, frozen, the sound of my heart breaking, echoing in the sterile lobby. I wanted to storm and scream, expose him right there. But then what divorce? He'd just be free to be with her legally. That wouldn't soothe this burning hatred. It just wouldn't be enough. From that day on, I started watching him. Silently. Meticulously. That's when I found out about the high-value life insurance policy he'd taken out on me, and that he was actually looking for ways for me to have an accident. I played dumb, pretended I knew nothing, let him think he was so clever, until today, when fate, or maybe my own careful planning, stepped in. Funny thing, he also had a massive insurance policy that had just kicked in. Don't worry, I never told him that. The second his eyes closed, it was like half my strength drained away. I collapsed to the floor, finally letting out the sobs I'd held back for so long. 3 years of silent tears all at once. It was a cry for everything I'd lost and everything I was about to gain. The widow's rage. I cried through the night. My eyes were so swollen the next morning I could barely open them. Finally, his parents got the news. They rushed to the hospital, stumbling, almost collapsing under the weight of their grief. Before his mom could unleash her usual tirade of accusations, I lunged at her like a madwoman, my eyes burning red. Why didn't you transfer the money? Why did you block my number? Do you know Zhao Zongwei died because he couldn't afford the surgery? It's all your fault. If you hadn't made him hand over all his salary, none of this would have happened. How can a mother be so cruel? I was screaming, my guts tearing apart. She was still reeling from shock. It took her a minute to snap out of it. Then she pointed a trembling finger at me, shrieking, "It's your fault, you jinx. You deliberately didn't tell me Zongwei was in trouble. You wanted to kill him, didn't you?" Before I could even answer, people around us started defending me. "Ma'am, we were all here. We heard everything. Your daughter-in-law barely started explaining, and you blocked her number." "Exactly. She cried all night. What else could she do? Your son's death is on you, and now you want to blame your daughter-in-law." Under all that pressure, my mother-in-law staggered, almost falling. I looked at her, a faint, tearful smile on my face. "If you think I killed Zhao Zongwei, then call the police. What's more pitiful than a woman who just lost her husband and is being oppressed by her in-laws?" Her mother-in-law was about to agree, but his father quickly pulled her arm, shaking his head, effectively silencing her. They were led to see his body crying so hard they could barely breathe. Me, I was busy, arranging the funeral, calling every single relative. "Hello, Auntie. My husband died in a car accident. Yes, that's right. He's gone. Last night." After making all the calls when no one was looking, I even hummed a little tune. It wasn't like his body could stay in the hospital forever. His parents were useless, too distraught to do anything, so it was all on me. Cremation burial plot. I handled everything, pretending to be heartbroken. Everyone felt so bad for me, their sympathy grew. The police quickly closed the case. Slippery road lost control. Drunk driving hit a guardrail. Just an accident. or so they thought. The grand exit right. After Zhongwei's 7-day memorial, his parents wasted no time. My son is dead. You have no right to be here anymore. Everything in this house was bought by my son. You can't take anything. You jinx, you not only killed my son now, you want to kill us old folks too. I knelt pleading with her not to kick me out, but she showed no mercy, shoving me out the door without even letting me pack. Get out. You have nothing to do with our family anymore. I knew exactly why she was in such a hurry. That mistress was pregnant, carrying Zhao Zongwei's last hope. They were just waiting for me to leave so they could bring her home and dote on her. But with that massive insurance payout coming, I knew I had to keep the act going. I knelt right in front of the door, making sure every neighbor saw my pathetic state. Mother Zhao Zongwei was my husband. I am willing to take care of you two in his place. Please don't kick me out. Seeing me like that, the neighbors couldn't just stand by. Zhao Zongwei's parents, you two are going too far. Your son just died a few days ago, and you're kicking your daughter-in-law out onto the street. Aren't you afraid of what people will say behind your backs? Exactly. Wang Qian worked so hard for you two for years, for no pay, and now she's suffering. This is beyond cruel. My mother-in-law glared at me with furious eyes, then turned to the gathering crowd, her eyes wide like a dead fish. What's it to you? She's been freeloading off our family for years. Now that my son is dead, should I still support her? She hasn't given birth to a child in all these years. If anyone's to blame, blame her for being useless. With that, she slammed the door shut, leaving me standing alone outside. Thanks to the neighbors' interventions, I wiped my tears, stood up, and left. I thanked them for defending me, and quietly walked away from the place I once called home. After that day's drama, I wasn't worried about his mom trying to get that millions in insurance money anymore. My freedom was worth more than any price. My new life begins. I borrowed some money from my best friend and rented a hotel room for a month. First thing I did, a long hot bath. Then I slept. Like really slept. The next morning I woke up early, went shopping, bought myself some new clothes. 3 years as a daughter-in-law, new clothes were a rare luxury, usually only for Chinese New Year. His mom thought buying clothes was unnecessary. Can you believe that? I met my best friend, who knew everything, for a walk. She looked at me radiant and just said, "See no man, and you look like you've come back to life." I smiled. Yeah, she was right. And then wouldn't you know it? We ran into my in-laws and Zhao Zongwei's mistress at the mall. The mistress, 5 months pregnant, was being coddled by his mom. His dad trailed behind, burdened with bags of expensive baby clothes. We just collided. His mom saw me, her eyes hardening with annoyance and caution. She immediately pulled the mistress behind her, shielding her. "Wang Qian, are you stalking us?" I just stared. This old woman was seriously delusional. Zongwei was dead. My act was over. No need to pretend to be the obedient daughter-in-law anymore. Before I could say anything, my best friend jumped in. "Ma'am, do you own this mall? If you can come in, why can't we?" Her eyes landed on the mistress's belly. She feigned surprise, covering her mouth. "Oh my God, your son just died, and now there's a pregnant mistress! How disgusting!" One sentence. That's all it took to brand the mistress's child as illegitimate. People started stopping, whispering. His mom's face turned purple. His dad just stood there speechless. "What nonsense are you saying? This girl is a great hero of the Zhao family. This child in her belly is my son's flesh and blood," my friend, making sure everyone heard, yelled. "If it's not an illegitimate child, then what is it? A mistress carrying an illegitimate child? No wonder you kicked your daughter-in-law out so quickly." So it was to make room for the mistress. Even with Zongwei dead, I was still his legal wife. No matter what they said, her kid was illegitimate. Period. I looked at her, the mistress. Rosy face, plump figure. Clearly doted on. A world away from my 3 years as their daughter-in-law. I woke at 5 a.m. to cook breakfast for everyone. Ate only after they were done. Hand-washed clothes in freezing winter because his mom said the washing machine wasted electricity. My friend nudged me. "Time for your act," she whispered. I clutched my chest, feigning shock and profound heartache, tears instantly springing to my eyes. Mother is the baby in her belly, really? Zhao Zongwei's. My eyes were fixed on the mistress's reaction. If her kid was branded illegitimate, right here, right now, that would stick forever. "Yes, it's my son's. Why can't you give birth?" Luckily, Liu Qiejie was willing to have this baby. Otherwise, the Zhao family would have died out because of you. Liu Qiejie didn't even have time to stop her before his mom blurted everything out. Meanwhile, my friend enthusiastically explained my relationship with the family to the onlookers. This is my best friend, the daughter-in-law of the Zhao family. Her husband just died, and his mother immediately kicked her out and brought in this pregnant mistress. I pinched my thigh hard to stop myself from laughing out loud. His mom glared at me fiercely, but with everyone pointing and talking, she couldn't see how she was wrong. If my son hadn't cheated, he would have died out. What did he do wrong? Someone in the crowd started recording. I didn't stop them. "Mother," I said firmly, "I am Zhao Zongwei's legal wife. By law, I have the right to inherit his estate." I wanted her to remember that detail. Inheritance my ass. When he married you, he handed over his entire salary to me. That wealth belongs to us adults. What does it have to do with you? Don't even dream of a penny. She spat a smug look of triumph on her face. She probably thought I was still after the measly few million Zongwei had left. From now on, you have nothing to do with the Zhao family. Liu Shejie is the only daughter-in-law I acknowledge. She declared trying to cut all ties. Liu Shejie, shielded by his mom, looked at me with a smirk. I just curved my lips into a cold smile. She had no idea what she'd just lost, and boy was it a lot. When they left, my friend and I weren't in the mood to shop anymore. She drove me back to the hotel, telling me to call her if I needed more money without any pretense. I calculated the days. The insurance money should hit my account tomorrow, and it did. 5 million yuan. Boom! I immediately paid my friend back, and then just because I gave her a fat red envelope. She texted me later, "Your ex-in-laws are going to have a stroke when they find out." I chuckled. 3 years of enduring humiliation exchanged for 5 million. Not a bad deal, honestly. Spa day, my treat. At the salon, I loaded 300,000 yuan onto a membership card. "Give me the most expensive, the most luxurious treatments." My friend draped an arm over my shoulder, laughing. "My rich queen let me be your humble mistress." We indulged, full body head to toe. I felt like I was floating. When I was married, forget spas. Even a face mask would get me a lecture from his mom. I never thought I'd be this happy after his death. The next few days were a blur of indulgence. Shopping, dining out, designer bags I once dreamed of. I bought without a second thought. I even splurged on a huge apartment in the city, put it in my parents' names, planned to renovate it and bring them to live with me. Back in their rural hometown, winters were brutal, and my aging father suffered from arthritis. The city here was so much more comfortable. It was my spending that finally got his parents suspicious. When they found out about the massive insurance payout, they lost it. After some digging, they found my hotel. The receptionist wouldn't give them my room number, so they caused a scene in the lobby. "Bring that woman Wang Chen out here. My son is dead, and she's living lavishly with his insurance money. She must hand it over. That's my son's property. What right does an outsider like her have to keep it? Look at this. They're bullying us old folks. Our son is dead, and we have to watch the person who caused his death live in luxury while we eat watery porridge. She's the one who cursed my son to death, and now she wants to kill us too. Is there no justice?" His mom cried and screamed, causing such a ruckus that the hotel finally called me. A web unraveled. I stepped out of the elevator. There she was, tears and snot streaming down her face, still cursing. I was surprised she found out so fast, but who cared? They were already this brazen. What was there to fear? I walked straight to her. She grabbed my wrist like I was going to run. "Wang Chen, hand over my son's insurance money now." "What, you left the house so quickly? So you were planning to abandon us old folks all along? You're literally stepping on my son's corpse, feeding off him." His dad blocked my path, his face menacing. I wasn't running. I used force to pull her hand away, pushing her aside. I let out a cold laugh. "Auntie, have you forgotten? When I knelt before your door begging you not to kick me out, what did you say?" I looked straight into her sharp, hateful eyes, letting all that years of resentment pour out. "You said, 'You don't need my care. From now on, there's no connection between you and the Zhao family.' When Zhao Zongwei died, I wouldn't take a single penny of his assets, and I would no longer have any obligations to you two. As for this insurance money, I'm the only beneficiary on the contract. It has nothing to do with you. Zhao Zongwei himself signed it when he was alive. He called me to get insurance together. I even joked, 'Are you really planning to get rich after your wife dies?' He stammered, 'Wife? What are you saying? I'll get one for you too and put your parents as beneficiaries.' Just then, Liu Qieji called. He quickly left. On my insurance application, he signed in a hurry, not realizing that only my name was in the beneficiary section. The facts are clear. Who can you blame? I didn't want them to lie, so I pulled out my phone and played a recording. The one where I begged her not to kick me out, and she was cold and cruel. If you try to scheme against others, you better be ready for them to scheme back. Even if Liu Qiejie's illegitimate child was born, it wouldn't get a penny of this money. Seeing their utterly regretful faces, I felt incredibly satisfied. Did they remember? They were the ones who kicked me out that day. The accusation. Seeing their accusations weren't working, his mom changed tactics. Her eyes widened and she shrieked, "Huh, I knew it! You bought that insurance for my son beforehand. You deliberately killed him and then pretended it was an accident. You wanted him dead so you could take all the money and live with another man, didn't you?" I studied her. She'd clearly planned this. Someone was pulling her strings. The shouting was a distraction. Their real goal: frame me for murder. Because if I was the killer, that insurance money would be frozen and fall right into their hands. And then, like clockwork, the police arrived. "Ms. Wang Qian, we've received a complaint that you are connected to the death of your husband, Mr. Zhao Zongwei. Please come with us to the station to cooperate with the investigation." This time, his mom didn't scream. She just glared at the police. "Officers, quickly arrest that woman. She's the one who killed my son." I shot his parents a deep, bitter look, said nothing, and quietly followed the police. At the police station, the person who filed the report showed up Liu Qiejie. The second she saw me, her eyes went red, brimming with tears. "Sister, I know you hate Zongwei because he cheated, but you can't be so heartless. Even if he betrayed you, it was because he was pursuing true love. How could you bring yourself to kill him? Adultery in marriage, and a wife with a motive to kill her husband. It was perfect tabloid fodder. The mistress accusing the legal wife of murder, dramatic and tragic." I scoffed. "True love isn't a crime. You are truly the most shameless mistress I've ever seen. But you say I killed Zhao Zongwei, so where's your proof?" I wasn't going to defend myself. I turned the tables on her. The best way to get off: make the accuser prove it. Don't fall into the trap of trying to prove your innocence. "I don't have proof, but you're very suspicious." Liu Qiejie looked away, avoiding my gaze. She knew her husband was cheating and she knew I was pregnant, yet she still let her husband buy a high-value insurance policy. She wanted to kill her husband to get the compensation money and take revenge on me. Every word she said directly hit a key point, and the police of course could verify all of it. I had been following Zongwei, I knew about the affair, but unlike Liu Qiejie's agitation, I stayed calm. "Yes, I know everything, but you say I killed someone, so where's the proof?" I turned to the police, calm as you please. "I wanted a divorce, yes, but murder, sorry. That man wasn't worth me burying my life for. I'm willing to cooperate fully. I just want to clear my name." My cooperative and rational attitude softened the police's tone. "Don't worry, we won't let any innocent person suffer injustice." I was actually excited to see what they'd dig up. They checked my phone, found tons of candid photos of Zongwei and Liu Qiejie, confirmed I knew about the affair for a long time, even stalked them, plus the insurance policy. Clearly I had a huge motive. After gathering evidence, the police questioned me alone. "How long have you known about your husband's affair?" "The day before our anniversary last year, I got an anonymous text from Liu Qiejie. Then I followed him, saw him enter the hotel with my own eyes." "Why didn't you confront him then?" Because I wanted to kill him. I hated him so much. But I was also weak, couldn't let go. Later, when I saw him gently caring for her with my own eyes, that's when my heart truly turned to stone." "So you didn't know your husband bought insurance for you with a specific purpose?" "I knew. I planned to wait for him to make a move, then collect evidence and report him. Who knew an accident would happen first?" The police looked at me differently then. "So, was it truly an accident, or was it human-caused?" Even though it looked like a car accident, they confirmed Zongwei hadn't been drinking outside that day. He'd been drinking at home. "So why did you let him drink and drive?" My heart fluttered. They found that out. I suppressed a smile, just sighed. "It was his mom. He came home, everyone was happy. She suggested, 'Everyone, let's have a drink.' Zhao Zongwei, of course, didn't refuse. Under her encouragement, he drank glass after glass." The police cut me off. "So why didn't you drink with them?" I paused. 3 years married, still no child. His mom wouldn't let me eat at the same table as them. It was a common restriction back then, a way of highlighting my failure. After they finished, I cleared the messy dining table. When I turned around, Zongwei was gone. I even called him, but he didn't answer. You can check my call history. After hours of interrogation, the police finally let me go. As I walked out, Liu Qiejie was still there waiting. She clearly expected to see me in handcuffs, but when she saw me free, her face distorted, exploding with rage. "Why did you release her? She's clearly the killer. She killed her husband. Did you take bribes?" I looked at her smirking. She was truly beyond saving. A police officer sternly cut her off. "Please don't talk nonsense. Our investigation is fair. Ms. Wang Qian had no opportunity to commit the crime. On the contrary, your motive is the most suspicious. Please cooperate with the investigation." Liu Qiejie froze. "Me? What are you talking about? How could I kill the father of my child?" But in her eyes I saw panic. I curled my lips, looking directly into her eyes, enunciating every word. "Of course you could, because Zhao Zongwei was infertile. So where did the child in your womb come from?" It was thanks to Liu Qiejie's report that the police reopened the case, did a second autopsy, and finally cleared my name. When I heard that in the interrogation room, I couldn't help but cover my face and cry. It wasn't me. It was him. He was infertile. The Zhao family was destined to die out. All those years of being shamed, all that pressure to have a child. It was never me. The bitter-end Liu Qiejie never expected her biggest secret to be exposed like that. She tried to stay calm, but her trembling lips betrayed everything. I smiled, faintly, delivered the final blow. "Now it's your turn to cooperate with the investigation." As I stepped out of the station, my best friend was waiting. She breathed a sigh of relief when she saw me safe. His parents were also there, and when they saw me instead of Liu Qiejie, they went ballistic. "Why is it you? You clearly killed my son. Why aren't the police arresting you?" His mom lunged at me, her eyes red with hatred. Me, I was trembling with excitement, just imagining their faces when they heard the truth. Because the one who killed your son wasn't me, it was someone else. "Don't you dare talk nonsense," she shrieked, refusing to believe. She thought I was trying to divide them. In her eyes, Liu Qiejie loved Zongwei so much she didn't care about her reputation, willing to have his child. How could such a great woman be the killer? I looked at her mother-in-law filled with satisfaction and calmly revealed the truth little by little. Unfortunately, the police have the autopsy results. Zhao Zongwei was congenitally infertile. He couldn't have children. So whose child is the one in Liu Qiejie's belly? My friend played along perfectly, bursting into laughter. "Well, some other guys? Who else? She's a mistress. Who's to say she doesn't have other men?" "You're talking nonsense!" His mom gnashed her teeth, glaring at me, but I saw her waver. She was so furious she wanted to tear me apart. I quickly pushed her back, staring coldly. "You think I'm still the bullied daughter-in-law I used to be? You old hag, for 3 years I was Zhao Zongwei's wife, and you made me drink so many concoctions. And now, it's your son who's impotent. It's the Zhao family's fate to die out. And now, you treat an illegitimate child like a treasure. Ha 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 ha. Oh, and that day, he drove drunk. That's thanks to you forcing him to drink. If you hadn't encouraged him to drink, maybe none of this would have happened." I laughed until tears streamed down my face, watching them panic fumble. Finally, I let out all that pent-up rage, killed by his own mother while his mistress was brought home and pampered like royalty. "Zongwei must be furious enough to burst out of his coffin," my friend added. "This is beyond outrageous." We each hit her with a remark, almost causing her to drop dead right there. She tried to argue, but the thought of facing Liu Qiejie silenced her. Learning that Liu Qiejie was under police investigation, his mom's entire world seemed to collapse. A mouthful of fresh blood spurted out right at the police station entrance. Luckily, his dad kept his head, quickly calling for an ambulance. As for me, that day, I was officially reborn. The truth is, Zhao Zongwei's death was an accident, but who knew I had secretly swapped his regular wine with an extremely potent, almost lethal concoction? But so what, his mom forced him to drink, and Liu Qiejie called him out. I had nothing to do with it. The final investigation result, the police only announced one crucial detail. The child in Liu Qiejie's womb was not Zhao Zongwei's. This whole elaborate plan, besides making his parents taste bitterness, was also designed to stop Liu Qiejie from easily getting what she wanted. Just as I predicted, Liu Qiejie was released. She still thought his parents didn't know about his infertility and continued to deceive them. But she didn't realize that waiting for her at home was going to be hell on earth. Before I left their old house, I had secretly installed tiny cameras just to witness this exact scene. Liu Qiejie walked in. Before she could even explain, his mom and dad ambushed her, covering her mouth and beating her. "You dog! How dare you use an illegitimate child to deceive me?" His mom grabbed Liu Qiejie's hair, slapping her repeatedly. "If you hadn't lured my son, he wouldn't have drunk and gone to meet you. You're the one who killed my son." His dad roared. "You destroyed this family's future. You're an evil woman." Liu Qiejie was beaten into a panic, bewildered. She tried to explain but was slapped, speechless. The air in that house was thick with tension. Her cries and pleas echoed in the empty room, but no one wanted to hear her. Liu Qiejie was stunned with regret. She shouldn't have been blinded by that 5 million insurance money. In desperation, she pulled out her phone and frantically dialed someone. His parents were too consumed by rage to notice. His dad kicked her hard in the belly while his mom kept hitting her. Just then, the front door burst open. A scarred man with a buzz cut stormed in. "You dare!" Seeing Liu Qiejie on the floor bleeding, he went into a murderous rage. Before his parents could react, Liu Qiejie broke free. "Honey, our child." With that, she fainted. The man roared like a wild beast, making his parents recoil. I saw the situation escalating, and with grim satisfaction, I kindly called the police for them. Just then, the man pulled a knife from behind his back and charged. "You dare touch my child, I'll make you pay with your lives." "Good, so you're that whore's lover, aren't you?" His dad had completely lost his mind. His son was dead. He had nothing left to live for. He pulled out a fruit knife and lunged. The two men attacked each other, a chaotic, bloody brawl. By the time the police arrived, the scene was drenched in blood. His parents died on the spot from multiple stab wounds. Liu Qiejie and the other man had already fled. The unexpected outcome. It worked perfectly for me. The ex-daughter-in-law became the sole heir to all the assets in his parents' names, because they had no other blood relatives. Only me. The one who had once called them mother and father. Not long after the police caught Liu Qiejie and the man, they were hiding in a small clinic. Liu Qiejie lost the child, and her uterus was removed. The man never left her side, sitting by her bedside and caring for her. After being arrested, he confessed everything, taking all the blame. He said he was the one who instigated Liu Qiejie to have an affair with Zhongwei, and he knew the child was his. He also planned for Liu Qiejie to claim Zhongwei's inheritance, and he killed his parents because he couldn't stand seeing Liu Qiejie humiliated. The police determined Liu Qiejie was just an accomplice and released her after questioning. The man sentenced to death. And me? I was the ultimate winner. My life now. No looking back, that night, when I called his mom begging for money only to be cursed at and blocked, I never imagined that very house would one day be mine. He didn't just buy insurance for me, he also bought accident insurance for his parents. Now they're all gone, and I'm the sole beneficiary. I literally won the lottery. All profit, no loss. I immediately bought a huge villa for my parents, bringing them here to the US to live out their days in peace. They still don't know what truly happened to the Zhao family. They just think I'm unlucky, lost my husband and in-laws early. Right now, my bank account is almost 8 figures. After the 5th anniversary of Zhongwei's death, I'm definitely bringing him a huge, delicious chicken drumstick, and those people who used to mock me waiting for me to fail, now they're green with envy. Everyone says, I have a good destiny. It's strange looking back. My life in China felt so suffocating. I was a prisoner, controlled, silenced. Coming to the US was more than just a change of scenery. It was a complete rebirth. It wasn't easy learning a new language, figuring out a whole different way of life. But here, I finally found a peace I never knew was possible. No one judges me. No one controls my money. I built this new life, chose my own path on my own terms. The quiet triumph of finally being free. It's a complicated story, I know. It's not a fairy tale ending where everything is perfect. Life rarely is. But it's my ending. And it's a constant reminder that sometimes the only way to find your true strength is to break free from everything holding you back. Thank you for listening to my story on Midnight on Reddit. My journey was messy, painful, but ultimately, it taught me the immense power of resilience and the fierce importance of reclaiming your own life. Have you ever faced a moment where you had to completely redefine yourself or fight for your own freedom? Share your story in the comments below. Let's reflect together.